SAF Chief General Ruzwani Mapwanya says the remains of fallen soldiers who have died in the Democratic Republic of Congo will be returned to South Africa tomorrow, but is yet to share further details regarding the repatriation efforts as parliamentarians pressed for specifics regarding their arrival as well as answers about their deaths and South Africa's mission in the country. Earlier today, Minister Inji Motshekga said the damage to the runway at Goma Airport was complicating the repatriation mission. Mapwanya says the families of the 14 soldiers who died 10 days ago have been receiving all the necessary support to deal with their loss. Minister John Steenhuisen has warned Parliament's Agriculture Committee that banning deadly pesticides like herbivores could trigger crop failure. Steenhuisen appeared before the committee today to address his department's response to last year's pesticide poisoning cases. A joint investigation by the National Institute for Communicable Diseases and the Health Department identified herbivores as the cause of several deaths, including the 6 children from Naledi in Soweto. And the Gauteng Provincial Initiation Coordinating Committee has extended the deadline for this year's winter initiation school permit applications due to the slow response. Prospective initiation school principals have until next week to apply for a permit following last month's initial closing date. The committee says the winter initiation season in the province commences from the 28th of June until the 21st of July to ensure that no interference comes to the school calendar. It adds that all efforts are in place to prevent the loss of life and injuries during the upcoming winter initiation season. And look at your weather. Partly cloudy skies in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Joburg and Vereeniging will both drop to overnight lows of 19 degrees and peak at highs of 31. Pretoria is at 20 and 32 degrees. Mikey Malapo, Eyewitness News.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
#MSW.
You may begin to feel anxious or excited.
Honest, deliberate, engaging, uncensored.
High-dosage administration can cause adverse reactions.
And most importantly, independent in mind and execution.
This is a normal response. Are you ready?
Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Ngengasho Taropo ngathi Pirates izosibulala ngehappiness. Tosibulala iPirates ngehappiness Taropo. I think this team, the connection esesinayo manje with the team is such that even when iPirates can lose the next game, the supporters have so much belief in the team. It's not even funny.
We have to commend the Kaizer Chiefs technical team for the homework that they did. They were able to nullify all possible threats that prior to the game Pirates were posing. But yeah, they did very well. Good application.
Speaking to the reporters after the game, the Chiefs coach Nazruddin Nabi.
My colleague Cedric Kazi insisted talk is not penalty, but me I don't talk for referees. Finish now.
Okay, I'm gonna.
If the referee after the game, I tell him congratulations, how the family and stop.
Yeah, how's the family? Red card. Hey, how are you? Red card. That's the feeling from Nazruddin Nabi.
If I talk red cards, you talk him how the family red card. How are you today? Red card. After Nabi discuted the time with the referees, me I don't understand.
We literally don't want anything to do with MK. We even asked them not to come to funerals of EFF. Don't want to see them. Even us who have stopped going to the derby because we don't want to meet them by mistake by the derby day. But DP has raised a very creative method. Or no, we can go to the derby. We'll have a separate suit where we'll go. Can we meet them in that thing of presidential or what? Because that presidential thing, you meet a lot of clowns there.
Robert Marawa, live on 947. Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live. #MSW.
Well, certainly no clowns on board right now. This is Marawa Sports Worldwide, proudly brought to you by Hollywood Bets.
Marawa Sports Worldwide on 947, Vuma FM and Rise FM. Powered by Hollywood Bets.
I think everybody has started planning what they're going to be doing in the wee hours of Sunday morning. Why do you say that? Well, I say that to you so that you can say it to your friend and you can say it to your next door neighbor. You can say it to anybody else that loves UFC. Now, the UFC middleweight champion, that is Dricus du Plessis. Well, I can tell you that he is gearing up for another clash with Sean Strickland. Now, du Plessis as well as Strickland will meet again in the wee hours of Sunday morning, SA time, at the UFC 312 in Sydney, Australia. Now, this will be du Plessis' second defense of his title after he beat Israel Adesanya via submission in Perth. If you remember, that was back in Western Australia in August. Well, our man on the spot, CS du Plessis, Supersport Combat sports reporter, who is currently in Sydney, gave us this report.
Hi, Rob. Thanks for having me on the show. As always, I've just stepped outside of the hotel where I've chatted to Dricus du Plessis' coach just about the preparations and how the rest of the fight week looks as we go into UFC 312 here in Sydney, Australia. And I can tell you that there's a quiet confidence around the reigning UFC middleweight champion as he faces the former middleweight champion in Sean Strickland for the second time in his career. It was pretty close in Toronto with du Plessis prevailing. Strickland believes that he wants to avenge that defeat here in Sydney. Du Plessis, however, wants to make a statement and put things to bed before he faces Khamzat Chimaev in July at International Fight Week in Las Vegas. So in terms of Dricus' preparations, he's been in great shape. His weight cut's gone well. Just a couple of days now until that weight weigh-in, and then we will see what happens when the fight gods decide who prevails between Dricus and Sean Strickland. At this point in time, anything can happen in this game, but I can tell you that it is sold out at the Kudos Arena on Sunday morning, and it promises to see absolute fireworks. Du Plessis is so hungry, so motivated, and so determined to hang on to the belt, while Strickland comes with a point to prove. So there is a little bit of bad blood between these two athletes, but it makes for a fascinating duel. So we'll keep you up to date throughout the week how things are going, but at this point, Dricus has had a busy media day. The final preparation session is done and dusted. So from tomorrow, he relaxes and gets ready for the weigh-in before putting on the gloves for yet another time in the UFC, where he is undefeated and looks to defend his title on Sunday morning. So yeah, that's the latest from Sydney. I'll keep you up to date for the rest of the week.
That is CS du Plessis, Supersport Combat sports reporter coming through from Sydney. Thank you so much, CS, for that report. We'll definitely keep on the socials with you and find out what is going on. Otherwise, keep it logged right here on hashtag MSW for more updates as we build up. Maybe you can share with us exactly where it is that you're going to be watching the fight come Sunday morning. It's a massive one, UFC 312 in Sydney in Australia. Well, we move from just the hopeful of SA combat sports, and we move maybe to a pretty sad story, man. I mean, there's been news that's been filtering through all day today. Many of you might now be fully aware that our beloved former Bafana coach, Shakes Mashaba, has been in hospital since the 27th of January. He was admitted with what we are told was a swollen tongue at the time. That kind of closed off his airways. Now, the Gauteng Premier, Panyaza Lesufi, well, he managed to pay Shakes a visit at the hospital and is here to give us a bit of an update regarding the legendary gaffer's current condition. So let's not waste any time and head straight to the Gauteng Premier who joins us on the line. Mr. President, good to have you on the line. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Roberto. Are you well, Matliput?
I am very, very well. Maybe obviously slightly disturbed by the current condition of Shakes, because my mind goes back to just his crowning glory last year at the Sports Hall of Fame where he was being inducted. You've paid him a visit. What can you update us with?
Well, thank you so much, Roberto. I was not aware. I got a call, I think, just after breakfast this morning from Miki Mutisan from the department to say, man, be aware there's this development, and he has been admitted in one of your institutions. I really felt that I owe it to him, that I must personally drop everything and go and see him and ensure that everything is fine. I also had discussions immediately after that when contact details of the family members were given to me to speak to the family, just to establish what went wrong and all these things. And also met with the clinicians and the leadership of the hospital. And I spent some few minutes with him. He's in high spirit. He has completely recovered. And I'm quite convinced that in the next 24 hours or so, he might be discharged. But I thanked him not only for the role that he's played as a national coach, but for him to entrust us as government with his life. I mean, this is his life. He had an option to go to various medical facilities, but he felt the nature and the level in which the sickness is, he needed expertise that are mainly found within public institutions. So for him to entrust us with his life, and we have to ensure that as an icon, as a former coach of our national team, I mean, it's not a small thing to be a national team of our coach. We have to ensure that the medical team provide all the necessary assistance that they need to. And I left the hospital, he was happy, and I was excited that is indeed receiving the required medical attention. And we're not doing this because he's a coach, but we're doing this to demonstrate that indeed we've got the skill, the talent, and the capabilities within the public hospitals to attend to some of the difficulties that we face in life.
Yeah, I think that's an important point you make, because a lot of the times people frown upon public hospitals and say that they don't have the kind of facilities maybe of a private sector hospital. But, firsthand, I know 100% that some of the best specialists on the continent, or even sometimes in the world, are found in the public or government hospitals. And it is no shame for people to seek any help of that nature there. And I think I do echo your words.
No, thank you. So it's very important for people to understand. And I always tell we are an institution that must be ready for anything. You might want to go to a private institution. If you exhaust your medical aid, the same institution will offload you to us. So we will never say we can't take you because we preferred another institution, not us. We'll provide the support that we need to provide. And I'm really impressed with the team. He himself confessed to me because initially he had challenges in terms of coming in and leaving the hospital and coming back to the hospital. But when the medical staff explained what they're doing and what they're attending to, he was in high spirit actually. Even when I left his ward, he walked with me until he can go back to his hospital bed. So he's in good spirit.
I'm glad about that final part of the walking because, from the reports that we received, Mr. Premier, is that by the time he got admitted to the hospital, he was actually not able to walk. He had to be admitted with him being in a wheelchair.
Yeah, no. He accompanied me after I've, as I said, spent the time that I spent with him. And I also want to thank SAFA because Mashum Namrake was there representing the institution to welcome me as well. We had some few discussions. There were some projects that we were discussing. And also myself, my interest with the soccer team called Rocker Swallow. So at the funeral of Jeki Asnamali Masike, we had some brief discussions. There's some 2 projects he himself, he wanted to deposit to my attention. And I also want, because we are just recording the history of the Dewey Beds. He was a captain, he played for quite some time. So we're supposed to meet to deal with this kind of thing. So even now, when I went to visit him, we really rehashed some of these things that we committed that will conclude. So I'm happy if he's discharged in the next 24 hours or so, we can be in a position to continue with those discussions. Very, very important that we get the knowledge that he has, not only about the Dewey Beds, but broadly about football in our country, and also give him support on some of the initiatives that he wants to execute.
So we can't dispel any of the rumors because, social media can be a hive of activity when it comes to people just sending out falsities there, that he is not in a critical state right now. He is able to fully function and can comprehend what's happening around him.
Indeed. As I said, we had discussion about the project, we had discussions about the issues that I wanted to bring to his attention. I found him standing, waiting for me. He welcomed me, gave me a very good warm hug. he appreciated that I'm there personally, even on short notice when I was briefed that he was in hospital. And after our chat, he literally walked me out of his ward, and I left him with the medical team just to ensure that everything is fine. So he's not in a condition where we can say things are bad. No. He's back on his senses. Indeed, he indicated that he came through difficulties. Even when he was brought for the second time, he collapsed at home. And that's the point I'm emphasizing, Roberto. The caliber, the talent, the skill, and the quality we have in public service, I always argue with people that, our public service is still the best. The only problem we have is facilities, our facilities and the attitude of those that are working. If we can manage these two things, we'll be amongst the best. And the mere fact that he came there at the state that he was in, but our medical specialist went on him, and we can see this turnaround within the shortest possible time. It's an affirmation that indeed those that are working within our hospitals, they know what they're doing, and I want to thank them for really coming on Shakes. And once more, I want to thank the family. I want to thank Safa and also Meki for bringing this matter to my attention, and hopefully everything will be fine.
Well, I think thank you as well for, relieving us of that tension, because we were not sure, in what exact state is in. I've got a minute left, and you've been hinting a few times about the conversation around Morocco Swallows, if it is going to be resuscitated. Is it coming back? What's the latest?
Not resuscitation.
Why, when we talk about Swallows, you lose your airtime there, Mr. Lesufi. Yeah, you cut there. So please rewind for about 10 seconds, because we lost you on the line. So you're about to talk about the resuscitation. Yeah,
I'm saying it's not the resuscitation. That's a different ball game that we can attend to it at a later stage. It's just for us to document the history of this club. I'm of the view that it's the work that those that are studying for Masters of Business Administration, or those that are obsessed with the history of football in our country, it's one piece of work cannot be left unattended. And one has spent much time to interview people that have been with the team for quite some time. So I'm speaking to the family of Panyaza Maseko. I'm also speaking to various that have been instrumental in the establishment of Solar. So for now, Robert, it's not about the resuscitation of the team, but it's the recording of this rich history and ensuring that it's placed in proper context. Those that are still willing to take this project forward, at least they've got a base document that they can work from.
Okay. No, sounds fair enough. That is the Gauteng Premier, Panyaza Lesufi, joining us right here on #MSW. Mr. Premier, thank you so much indeed. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Roberto. Thanks so much. Thanks. Bye.
Appreciate the update there coming through regarding the current condition of our former beloved Bafana coach, Shakes Mashaba.
Hey Rob, I'm a shareholder for MSW, always listening to the show. All I can say is speedy recovery to Shakes. Semazo Shakes, he was once coach under 23, or coach Bafana, and our prayers are with him. We wish he could see right. And then coming into midweek games, I just want to wish my team, Mamelodi Sundowns, my prayer is that we keep winning and not stop. We want to win this 20 million on Betway Premiership for the first time and take it 3 times in a row, just like we did with the one at DSTV. Siyabonga kakhulu Rob Petros from Iploke in Mpumalanga.
#MSW live now on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live at the same time.
#MSW.
V up your new year with back-to-school value deals. Get the Huawei MateBook D16 i5 for only 599 Rand per month over 36 months on a 20-gig data plan. Deal includes a MiFi router plus free MS Office 365 valued at 999 Rand. Now that's value with V up. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
Lotto Star does scratch card games like no one else. In seconds, you could win payouts of up to 75 million rand. With just a scratch of a card, you could boost your bank balance, win a gold bar, or shine bright on Diamond Rush. Scratch now on lottostar.co.za. Your world of live games. Lotto Stars licensed by the Mpumalanga Economic Regulator. No under 18. NRGP 0800 006 008. T's and C's apply. All games are fixed odds betting events.
Medical aid plans. They're normally like this.
So, you'll need to take this form and this. Don't forget this too. Okay, wait. Don't forget this one. Wait. Okay, done. My back! Sorry, sir. That's gonna have to come out of your savings.
At Bonitas, we make our plans simple, so they're easy to understand. We also offer a benefit booster and a range of other benefits that don't come off your savings. Visit bonitas.co.za when you need us. Bonitas, medical aid for South Africa. T's and C's apply.
At Pick n Pay supermarkets, we're helping you save big in 2025. Get assorted 600-gram Lancewood cheese for only 99 Rand 99 each. Assorted 1 kilogram Rainbow Simply Chicken Viennas for only 96 Rand 99 each. And assorted 6 100-gram Danone Nutri-Day low-fat smooth dairy snack, any 2 for only 36 Rand. Only at Pick n Pay supermarkets. Valid 23 January to 9 February. T's and C's apply.
At e-family meetings, drama is always on the menu. From your cousin sending the wrong pic in the family group chat, to Tsepo dodging dishes yet again, and of course, the classic who's cooking next debate. Don't stress, Panarotis has you covered with the classic Monsterito pizza. At almost half a meter wide, it's big enough to share with the family while they tackle all the drama. Get yours for just $199.90, exclusive to rewards members. Panarotis, big on family, big on pizza.
Does your business need funding, as in yesterday? Did you know that with Lula, you could have the funds in your account as soon as tomorrow? At Lula, you can get up to 5 million Rand in business funding in 24 hours. Apply online in minutes with no paperwork, no collateral, and best of all, no hidden costs. Waiting weeks to get your business funded is so yesterday. Apply today at lula.co.za and make cash flow.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Mofokeng getting away from Blom, pulling back on Mofokeng.
All right, Jerome Damon, the chair of Southwest Referees Technical Committee, coming through live from Cape Town.
Why the advantage? The referee did not play advantage. He simply delayed his whistle to allow himself time to process. And in the process, the shot was taken and he decided penalty, and it's well within his right to give the penalty because he did not signal advantage. He did not shout advantage. He just gave him some time to think. He decided, yes, for him, that holding is enough. That holding does impede in terms of the laws of the game. So therefore, it is a penalty. No problem there.
So if the holding was such that he was able to score the goal, then the goal would have stood and there was no need to then come back.
That is if he played advantage, but he did not play advantage.
#MSW. #MSW.
Yeah, good evening, Rob. I noticed something on Saturday, man. People were carrying tickets claiming to be authentic, but they were denied entry at the stadium. Apparently, there were people who carried fake tickets, but they entered the stadium. So my question is, with this heavy technology and heavy machinery that we might be having in South Africa, I mean, how did they gain entry? Were they not checked? Because really, this thing, it will come at South African football, and it will rebuset on the days of Ellis Park disaster. We don't want that. Please, 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 can they do something about this? Because really, now, if such things are happening, 2025, it's not on. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, I guess the issue of the fake tickets continues to be a problem, and then people buy in bulk and others go and do all sorts of crazy things. But it is an issue that we brought to the attention once again of the stadium management, because we do try and work closely with them so that we can convey some of these messages. And I know that on Saturday there were pictures that were posted all over social media claiming that cars were being stripped to the bare minimum from the parking. I'm not sure if that was official parking, but whatever it was, if they were able to verify that was, authentic photos that came through from the stadium, it becomes a worrying trend because we try and encourage people to go to the stadiums around the country. So hopefully that will get the attention that it does deserve. Well, one thing that is going to get the attention that it deserves for the next 30 minutes is refereeing. So any questions or comments, this is the big boss here. So the big questions get fired at the big boss. And tonight I am pretty pleased, though, to welcome somebody you haven't seen in a very, very long time. A very special guest who plays a crucial role, though, in maintaining the integrity of our beloved sport. And as the chairman of the referee appointments for the South African Football Association, he is responsible for ensuring that our favorite matches are officiated with precision and fairness. He also oversees, though, the meticulous process of appointing referees for league matches pretty carefully, evaluating their performances and considering their experience and expertise, and also ensuring that each particular match is assigned an official who can uphold the highest standards of the game. So let's dive straight into the intricate details, though, of how he and his team make these vital decisions, ensuring every single match runs smoothly, as we hope it does, and fairly. Please join me in welcoming the one and only. Hey, Ari Soldatos, chairman of the referees appointments at SAFA. Ari, good to see you. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Rob. It's really been a long time since we last saw each other. It's great to be on your show.
Oh, it's great to see you. I mean, for somebody who works in such a stressful environment, I don't know how you handle it.
Yep. It's probably just through age, through time, through experience.
Those three?
Yeah, particularly.
What's the most annoying thing that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis that has to do with your job as the chair of the refereeing appointments?
All right. Well, first of all, I prefer not to see it as a job.
Yeah.
It's fundamentally a hobby, and it's a passion that I've had for many years. We go back many years ourselves, so you will understand that.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, the frustrations which we encounter, particularly from a refereeing perspective, is circumstances, for example, of non-availability of officials. We've spoken repeatedly about the professionalization of referees, making them full-time referees as such. I heard earlier on, while I was waiting to come in, a couple of coaches complaining about congested fixture lists. We experience the same things. Congested fixture lists, non-availability of officials predominantly because of working commitments and the like, and the inevitable idiosyncrasies of injuries, illnesses, and the like. That is probably the most frustrating area that we have to operate in.
You mentioned something quite fundamental. It's something that I have spoken about many a time. It's something that I spoke about last night, as early as last night, to Jerome Damon, and you've just mentioned it now, the professionalization of the referees.
Yes.
Why do you think, Ari, after so many years, after so many gains have been made in the professional game, so much money being bandied about, whether from broadcasters or from anybody else, why is it that the one individual, I mean, obviously it's a whole body of referees that you run, but the one individual that in a game, a lot of focus centers around, and that's an official, that we don't have the referees professionalized up until today, the 4th of February, 2025?
You know, Rob, we have campaigned vigorously for this over a protracted period of time. Invariably, I think it does come down to finance. It comes down to money. And I understand that billions get plowed into the professional game and the like. And certainly from a refereeing perspective, what we would like to see is that certain of those funds were to be channeled in refereeing. Because, as you say, without a proper refereeing structure, being in a position to ensure that games are properly and effectively handled on a full-time basis, as now appears to be the position, we'll never get to the top level of refereeing that we deserve to be. I understand, and I've seen this repeatedly, the PSL particularly is regarded as the elite league in South Africa, in Africa, I beg your pardon.
Sure.
From that particular perspective, the PSL and the millions of followers of the PSL deserve a proper refereeing structure commensurate with that type of philosophy of the professional game. So certainly from our point of view, we would urge sponsors, entities to come forward and actually say, Let's give our referees the break of making them full-time professionals. Let this be the job that they focus and concentrate on, to the exclusion of all the other issues, so that we can actually give the game the attention it deserves.
A key word you mentioned is sponsors, and my eyes just lit up because I remember a couple of years ago, and because I was there at the launch of this sponsorship, and I thought, oh, finally we're going to get there. There were referees that were there in attendance, taking photos. It was an exciting press conference.
It was.
Outsurance.
I remember that.
Had stepped up. They were like, here we are. We're not just going to make you guys look good and bright on the field and wear whatever it is that you're going to be wearing. That aside, it was going to be about money coming into the potential professionalization of the game. Then obviously that sponsorship went whatever direction it went. But then I see referees now, they wear the Showmax tracksuits and so on. So I don't know if that brings in any money really that can help in terms of what we're talking about right now.
Not to the extent of maintaining a full complement of full-time professional referees. It's peripheral. It's very much welcome, make no mistake, because you never ever turn down a sponsor, and we're very grateful to Showmax for what they do for us. But from a perspective of professionalizing referees, we would never be able to get out of the starting blocks, so to speak, without a fully fledged sponsor that can literally look after our referees as if they were full-time employees working for a particular
I mean, have you ever worked out a budget? I don't know how rugby and Saru and everybody makes it work for rugby. And they also have a very heavy program. I think rugby these days has an almost full program similar to what football has, with all the international competitions that get played, outbound, inbound tours that are happening in and around the country. But they just seem to be in a good space and a happy space, and the referees seem to be well taken care of. Do you perhaps know how they do it differently to what we have in football?
Personally, I have no idea, Rob. I do know that budgets were prepared some years ago for consideration by certain potential sponsors. What happened beyond that, I don't know.
And that is why we are where we are. That was a very important question, though, because when I say referee on this show, the phones light up.
Evening, Big Rob. Mr. Referee, with a huge game coming up this weekend, another one potential league decider between Mamelodi Sundowns and Orlando Pirates. How do you guys, as the SAFA refereeing committee, choose your referee who's going to take care of a big match? Do you look at their past 5 games and how they've handled those games? I just want to find out what is the criteria that you use to choose the referee, especially in big games. Thank you, Mr. Marawa.
An easy one to answer?
That is an excellent question, because there is no fixed predetermined formula. So the way it works is appointments is a moving dynamic. And I think the public need to appreciate what we do take into account. First of all, we've got a big game coming up on the weekend, as we did last weekend. So what you do invariably in selecting the right referees, you've got your panel, which is provided to you at the commencement of the season. That comprises a panel of X amount of referees and assistant referees. We then need to look at the fitness level of a particular referee at that point in time. We need to look particularly at his assessment marks over the last, let's call it 4 to 6 week period. We personally watch a lot of games to see how the referees are progressing or otherwise. And also what we need to do, and this is perhaps the most fundamental, because by being on the so-called top structure of referees in South Africa, you would imagine that they should be technically astute. They should be able to apply the laws of the game, and they should have their fitness levels intact, Rob. But what you need to do is you need to test the temperament from a psychological perspective. Does this referee, A, have the psychological muster to be able to withstand the pressures of a huge game such as this? B, is this particular referee a recognized FIFA referee, so to speak? Bear in mind that that's not the criterion, but it certainly is a criterion. From that particular point of view, what we find is that through exposure to international competitions on the continent and otherwise, the temperament and the big match temperament of a referee becomes all the more formidable. The effect of this ultimately is it's a combination of all of those factors, which we then look at and ultimately make a call. And also, of course, what we try and avoid as steadfastly as we can is having the same referee repetitively refereeing the same teams. So the general rule of thumb is in the preceding 2 to 3 week period, the referee or the assistant referee should not have officiated one of those games. You know, generally speaking, we try our best to get it right, Rob. Sure. And I must say, in most instances, I'm pleased to say, I know a lot of people will differ with us, but in most instances, we do get it right. Sometimes one fatal decision in 1 second can actually make your appointment go hopelessly off track.
And I'm sure you'd have been a proud person at the end of the derby, because it's been a unanimous decision amongst former referees that it was a spot-on decision, that not much was done wrong as far as awarding that dramatic last-minute penalty.
Well, I was certainly proud until I walked in here and I saw certain of your colleagues over here donning Kaiser Chief shirts and giving me dirty looks. But aside from the wonderful welcome that I got here this afternoon, but I was very proud of Masitole Bambiso's performance, really. And I think that goes for the entire refereeing structure. You know, to give a decision like that, in the 96th minute. You can just imagine. Personally, I don't know if I would have had the bottle to do that, I must tell you, in my day. But it's about courage. It's about ensuring at the end of the day that notwithstanding what the consequences, both off and on the field, may be for you as the official, you need to be brave and you need to make a decision as you see it.
Yeah.
It might be a good decision. It might be a bad decision. It might be a partially good or partially bad decision. But courage and bravery is really what it's all about.
So is it justified then, Ari, when you hear so many of the coaches in the professional ranks criticizing referees, saying all manner of things about the referees up until this past weekend?
We see that repeatedly, Rob. And, you know, even in my days of active refereeing all those years ago, that was the order of the day. And I can understand frustrations. This is the professional game. This is big money. There's betting involved. There's everything else that goes with it. I can understand the ramifications of what individuals may perceive to be, whether it's self-serving or otherwise, a particularly poor decision. Is there justification? Honestly, in 99% of the occasions, I can categorically say no. Do we mess up from time to time? Absolutely. Do we need VAR? Absolutely. Okay, will that help us? Sure it would. But the justification insofar as the criticism is concerned, in most instances, we believe, is not on.
Because some of the coaches I talk about, we're going to come back to the VAR thing, and I'm glad I got that animated. Yes, of course we need VAR, but here's some of the coaches though that were complaining.
And I just hope, again, it's not a critique, but if we have to improve our game, I also would like that the refs improve their game also and watch the game again and see what they did wrong, just to improve it also. Because the standard in South Africa about the refs should be and could be higher, to be honest.
That was Sead Removich, though, the former coach of TS Galaxy when he was still here in the country. But here's more.
I asked politely the referee after the game in a tunnel. I asked politely, I said, I don't know. Till now, I don't even know what happened on the other side with Bongani. I asked him politely what's happened on the other side, why a second red card. He started shouting at me straight away. Sorry, I actually in this moment a little bit irritating. But anyway, that's the story of the afternoon.
All right, so that's Ernest Middendorp. I'm sure a very familiar voice to many South Africans. We'll find out from Adi Soldatos what his take is on those comments, plus plenty more. Do send us a WhatsApp voice note. He is the SAFA chairman of referee appointments. He's in studio here for the very first time in a long time. 060-708-0484.
#MSW live now on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live at the same time.
#MSW.
So why should I use We Buy Cars if I want to sell my vehicle?
Because We Buy Cars buys cars.
But will I get the right price?
Of course, We Buy Cars buys thousands of vehicles and knows exactly what every vehicle is worth. Their buyers deliver exceptional service and pay you immediately.
And how do I know what they'll pay for my vehicle?
It's easy. Visit webuycars.co.za or use the We Buy Cars app. Follow the simple steps and voila, you'll get a fantastic price for your car. We Buy Cars. Quick, easy, the best.
Dear Journal, day 3017 of trying to be an adult. Exciting news. I did the math and it'll only cost 581,000 Rand to make my flat look like my Pinterest board. So, redecorating should be done by 2059?
Got evicted from the family home? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's like 570 Rand a month, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
At Lekker having your back isn't just a promise, it's the standard. Easily book your next holiday on the Lekker app and receive a dedicated agent ready to assist with all your accommodation needs. From last-minute changes to special requests, your Lekker agent is ready to help every day of the year until midnight. Book a Lekker stay today and experience the unmatched support that has millions of South Africans using Lekker for their local holidays.
Experience more value this summer at Food Lovers Market with Big Deal Wednesday. Buy 2 1 kg Rosa mango thrift packs for just 59 Rand and get 2 500-gram seedless red grape punnets absolutely free. And save on delicious whole boneless gammon at an unbeatable 69.99 per kilo. Valid this Wednesday only at all Inland Food Lovers Market stores. It's in the experience.
Sim, open the door.
Okay, where are sleepers? Open the door, man.
So Bro, you keep falling asleep everywhere today. What's going on?
I pulled an all-nighter trying to finish my midnight data before it expired. I'm finished, bro.
Sim. With Celsius My Connector, there's no day or night. Just anytime data.
Anytime.
Nothing should stop you from enjoying your data anytime with Celsius My Connected deals. Dial *141# and get 3 gigs anytime data for only 39 Rand. Switch to C. Celsius.
Tired of searching for love in the wrong places? Looking for someone to share your nuggets? To give you their very last fry? Well, this Valentine's Day, McDonald's is making happy happen by turning their app into a dating app where couples are matched based on their favorite meal. Those lucky few who are matched will be treated to a 5-star first date on Valentine's Day. To get in on all this excitement, just download the McDonald's app and enter your details as well as your meal preferences. T's and C's apply.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
But the callback by Blom, 5.5 minutes, almost 6 minutes of stoppage time. Masanganye, little chip.
All right, Jerome Damon, the chair of SAFA's Referees Technical Committee, coming through live from Cape Town. Incidents that happened inside of the penalty box become a little bit more visible. That one where it happens infield and maybe a jersey is torn by virtue of just pulling a jersey.
We try as far as possible to get referees to position themselves correctly. And there seems to be more traffic as you're going across the halfway line than in the penalty area because it's a smaller space that people sort of have. You won't have defenders coming right up into the penalty area, etc., unless it was from a set piece. And so, yes, there may be more people in the way, and there's also more movement because people are running into position, they're running into space, etc. And so the referee may have missed it. I don't know.
#MSW.
#MSW.
Evening, Big Rob, and evening to the SAFA chairman for the refereeing committee. Mr. Chairman, Minister Gayton McKenzie was once on the show, and he said allegedly there's some people behind the scenes who are stopping VAR from coming to the country. So would you confirm with us that those allegations are true from the minister, and how do you feel that a device that needs to be introduced to the league is not making its way sooner? Thank you, Mr. Marawa.
Are there people stopping VAR from coming into South Africa? He does mention the conversation we had in studio with the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Gayton McKenzie. Are there people that stop that, Arisaldatos?
I do remember the minister having that discussion on your show, Rob. Personally, I know of nobody that is deliberately obstructing the introduction of VAR. In our deliberations on this particular issue, one of the fundamental issues which have arisen has been that of costs, and there's been various training methodologies, etc. But I do honestly believe that it's just a matter of time and it will be introduced. We need to train our people further. We don't have sufficiently accredited VAR officials at this point in time, but I can assure everybody, and particularly your listeners, Rob, this is top on the agenda, and I really don't believe that anybody stands anything to gain by deliberately and purposefully obstructing the introduction of such a sophisticated mechanism, which has ultimately become part of the game today, certainly at the highest level.
Because you do understand, though, that when you do eventually roll it out, each and every game will have to have VAR. So you can't say, yeah, okay, for the Soweto Derby or for Pirates versus Sundowns, you'll have. But sorry, for Chippa United and Polokwane City, we can't have VAR.
And that is exactly one of the fundamental issues. Where do you draw the line of ensuring that there's consistency which is undertaken? Because the cost of this is astronomical. It really is. And I know I keep on going back to finances, and people don't want to hear about finances because this is their life. This is their blood. This is the passion. But unfortunately, that is the reality as things stand.
Good evening, Rob, and good evening to the Mr. shareholders. My question to the chief ref is to find out as to, in terms of the training that is done for the refs, is it training that is maybe capacitate them mentally in terms of being assertive in terms of decision making and not doubting themselves? Because I always think of big games, and like our referees also trained in a similar setting like the players, to say that to brace yourself, this is a big game, so that they don't get maybe overwhelmed by the crowd and get overwhelmed by the magnitude of the stature of the game itself.
Ari?
Once again, an excellent question. Do we provide specialist psychological training for our officials on an ongoing basis? No. But every official is taught, basically from grassroots level, that you're going to be the subject matter of criticism. And ironically, it's probably more difficult to referee a junior game on a Sunday morning where you have the parents standing on the side of the field shouting and you can hear every word that is being said.
Yeah.
As opposed to having 100,000 people baying for your blood, as happened on Saturday. But the reality of it is that through a progression process, what we try and do is we try and speak to our referees and mentor them through the ranks as they get to the upper echelons of national refereeing as to how to deal with these things. So inevitably, it all comes once again, as I said earlier on, Rob, to the experience.
Good evening, Rob and Ari Soldates. Ari, you often see at the LFA level before the season starts where the referees committees will host the club officials or coaches of the affiliated teams and empower them on the laws of the game or amendments to the laws of the game. Why is it difficult at the PSL level to host a similar seminar, leveraging of the existing technology where you can connect with the club officials or coaches online and connect on the laws of the game and empower them on the amendments that we are seeing happening frequently, and also mend the relationship between the clubs and the officials, which we are seeing being strained on a regular basis or after every game due to disagreements with the interpretation or understanding of the laws of the game. Is there consideration for something like that? Just want to hear your views around that. Thank you so much.
I believe that is something that definitely needs to be encouraged. Up until this point in time, we have had certain sessions, not enough, not anywhere close to enough to what it should be, particularly in relation to the manner in which the game has developed, and particularly in relation to harmonizing the interaction between club and referee. I think that is definitely something that we need to work towards. I know that it certainly does feature on the agenda of the National Referees Committee. It's something which I do believe needs to be dealt with in what they call the Joint Liaison Committee, which is a committee which comprises certain individuals of the Referees Committee and SAFA and the National Soccer League. And that is something which I personally would wish to pursue and bring onto the agenda at their next meeting. Very good point.
More good points that are coming through, guys. Thank you so much.
Hi, Marawa, Sergi Tebe here. My question to Aris Aldaldos. Is he in charge of appointing referees to the second division? And is he aware of what's happening? Because the stories I'm hearing from there and then what I've witnessed from there is so wrong. So is he aware, and is he part of those who are appointing referees to do matches in that division? Thanks a lot, brother.
Yeah, that second division is problematic. Are you in charge of that as well?
Is the second division the Motsepe Foundation,
Correct.
I would imagine? Yeah. Yes, that falls within our particular portfolio. Where we are essentially in the process of adjudicating on referees and judging them at their performance in the MFC, the Motsepe Foundation, we are guided predominantly by our match commissioners. So every single match under the Motsepe Foundation has a match commissioner appointed to it who also doubles up as a referee assessor. From that particular perspective, what we do is on a weekly basis, we have a look at the performance of an individual or individuals, taking assistant referees into account as well, and we judge it according to that. Unfortunately, not all of these games have television and camera facilities. And the result of that is we're guided by one thing and one thing only, and that is the match commissioner's report. But hopefully what we can do is try and introduce through one of the television companies and the like, something in terms of which these games are actually recorded in a review committee, which does in certain instances, but not in all games, review MFC matches, can make a determination and pronouncement on that.
And then one lower, if you go, I suppose, Motsepe Foundation League or the Championship is what you would call the first division. Then there's the second tier as well. Because I think that is where things start to go haywire. And we've seen cars chasing after referees. We've seen referees being chased themselves. And at times people have come there with all sorts of weaponry onto the field in threat of the referee. So I don't know how lower in the divisions do you go in terms of your appointments, or does that fall, you're in charge of all?
Yeah, my particular appointment stops. Personally active, I stop at the Motsepe Foundation. But as the chairperson of the appointments of the NRC, basically all officiating from that perspective, the buck does stop with me. So essentially, even though my committee essentially appoints referees for the PSL and the Motsepe Foundation, all appointments beyond that actually do fall within the scope of the National Referees Committee and therefore my appointments. I've heard horrific stories in the lower divisions.
Yeah.
I've heard them for decades, Rob. How we can ultimately control that and how we can actually police the situation a bit better is something which we really need to work on in the medium to long term. But really, I do hear about the problems and cars being burnt and people being attacked and goodness knows what else. That is something that needs to be addressed, and it certainly needs to be addressed as a matter of priority, not only, as I say, in the medium to long term, but something does need to be done about that. What? I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say that needs another topic altogether. Remember Jomosono on the show here saying that he needs to come back to give us a proper perspective of what he has to encounter in the lower divisions as well. So that is a conversation that is still outstanding with Jomo, because I would more than anything love to hear, his experiences. He's somebody who's been at the highest level of football, and he's obviously down where he is right now. And sharing those stories would be great. You mentioned the review committee. Sometimes people think it doesn't exist. And if it does exist, how often do they meet, Ari? And have there been, in recent time, cases that the review committee would have taken? I mean, for example, I've got in the back of my mind the Miles Lewis Skelly game that he played for his team Arsenal when they played against Wolves. I think Michael Oliver was in charge of that game. He got a red. It was taken on review. Obviously, his club Arsenal challenged that particular dismissal. The panel who reviewed the case after the appeal was submitted felt that foul play was a more suitable category rather than serious foul play, which was the reason why Oliver sent the 18-year-old off. And then obviously they went on review and things were rescinded as far as that case is concerned. But for South Africa, we hardly ever hear that maybe it's a mistaken identity or something had happened where it needed a review and that was reversed.
A review committee in that particular circumstance, mistaken identity and the like, the review committee may pronounce upon that and certainly make a decision to that effect. Does it happen that often? No, Rob, certainly not in the context of South Africa. And certainly know that from the FA's perspective, and David Elleray, who I believe has been on your show as well, has often mentioned to me that the FA has certain jurisdictional powers to deal with these types of things. So from a review committee perspective, their focus from an NRC point of view is predominantly aimed at looking at refereeing decisions insofar as factual issues on the game is concerned and making a pronouncement upon the refereeing performance on the day. As far as clubs initiating appeals and that type of thing is concerned, that is dealt with on an entirely separate basis. But I have known instances where the review has stepped in and basically said that was a case of mistaken identity and this is our recommendation.
All right. And just on more information, because we love the fact that as we chat, more knowledgeable people keep sending us messages and saying that on the issue, I think Tebogo had raised about whether other clubs do put up their hands, or you go and give them lectures, or you ask them to come and attend so that you can update them on the latest laws of the game, the adjustments, modifications that are made on a consistent basis. So I am told, though, that PSL teams were hosted. The teams have a choice to attend or not to attend, saying some of the teams did attend this year. So my question back was, how many teams? And the answer was very little. So it shows again by the comments of the coaches and sometimes the naivety, though, of the fans and not understanding the laws of the game or how they've been updated. So it is there. It's just that the clubs don't take it up.
Tebogo says that, and that reminds me, I do remember that there was an invitation sent out by Abdul Ibrahim to actually, yes, absolutely. And I do remember now that it was not well received in the greater scheme of things.
But that's disturbing, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if you do want, and people don't take time, sometimes there's an amendment to a certain law of the game, there's an amendment to an offside. They talk about introducing, okay, it's going to be a red card and a yellow card. They maybe want to do something like rugby where you go and sit in a sin bin or something like that. So there's always an evolution in terms of football.
Sure.
So when clubs don't take that, for me, it is disturbing because as coaches, captains, players, everybody else, they're the ones who scream loudest. What's the next major developments in Ari Soldatus's life?
No such thing as marriage, Rob. Only to this game.
I was going to say married to the game. Eh?
Yeah, no, exactly. Doing it for so many years now, gosh, I think it's ultimately time to start making way for some younger blood and to start passing the baton, so to speak. But nothing of any major significance planned.
You never told me you played hockey.
Exactly.
You never told me this.
Yeah.
This is breaking news that I'm being told from one of your schoolmates.
Oh, my word. Okay, gosh, that is really going back eons, isn't it?
Highlands North.
Yep, Highlands North, that's it.
You played hockey.
Gosh, yep, I was a hockey goalkeeper. Yep, I'm afraid so.
That's
Great
where
sport,
I am going to leave it. That's where I'll leave it. I won't say who. It's the Marawa Scorpions that are out there getting all of this intel. Ladies and gentlemen, SAFA's chair of referee appointments, Mr. Ari Soldatus, here to unpack a couple of stories. But trust me, he'll be back again soon. We need the information that he delivers. Ari, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Pleasure being on your show, Rob. Thank you for having me.
All right, it is Marawa Sports Worldwide. Tune in again tomorrow for the show. Proudly brought to you by Hollywood Bets.
Marawa Sports Worldwide on 947, Vuma FM and Rise FM. Powered by Hollywood Bets. #MSW Live.